Hi, this is Hank Field. I wanted to take a couple of minutes to talk about how to format your code automatically if you're using Visual Studio Code. I have a program here that I have unformatted. So I've gone through and made everything all the way aligned to the left. So there's no indentation, and I've also gone through and combined a couple of lines. This is not that far off from code that I often see students turn in, especially those that um, uh, don't take the time to indent along the way. And there's a couple of reasons why this is bad. So number one, it's difficult to read. If we look down here, I've got a chunk of code. Luckily, there's a nice comment above that tells me what it does. But if you're just looking at the code inside of here, inside of the function, it's a little bit difficult to tell what's happening where. So we've got a C outline and then a for loop, and the content of the for loop is left indented, so it doesn't visually look like it's actually inside of the for loop. It looks like it's outside of the for loop, and that can be confusing to figure out when things happen. So that's one part that's difficult. The other thing is it's difficult to debug. So one thing that will also happen if you're not careful about your ending curly braces is that you'll end up with too many. So for example, you might end up with, because you weren't counting the opening curly braces, you might end up with an extra one down here, and that'll cause your program to not compile. And it can be really tricky to figure out where that misidentification of the closing curly brace occurred. If you're just looking at the compiler errors, because the compiler doesn't know there's a problem until it loses track of the closing ones and doesn't really tell you where the original one was supposed to go. So an easy solution for both of these, both for readability as well as for detecting errors, is to format your code. Now one way to do that, and the way I do it, is as I'm writing it, I go through and I make sure everything's indented properly. So every time that I enter a block, I indent, and every time I leave a block, I unindent. If you find yourself in the situation where you didn't do that, then you can go through and try to manually do that. Some people find that too tedious or too overwhelming. So I wanted to show you kind of a cool built-in feature to Visual Studio Code, and that's the auto formatter. So the way you do this is it's through a key combo. You can't do it through the menu. And you want to press Shift+Alt+F. If you were on Mac, that's the same thing as Shift+Option+F. So I'm going to type those now, all three together. And you can see that all of the code just changed on my screen, and we got automatic formatting. So a couple of things here. You can see that my for loop now has the inside of the for loop indented, and inside of the if statement is also indented. So now it's very clear what block of code goes with which control structure. Also, we can see immediately down here that we have two closing curly braces on the same line. We don't want that to happen. In formatted code, you should never have that. So one of these need to go. Some other things that happened is we had a couple of lines before, I forget which ones, where they were two statements that were on the same line. So for example, if we put the C in right after on the same line as the C out, when we go to do auto formatting, if I do the key combo, we'll see those two separate. So the auto formatter automatically makes sure that there's one statement per line. It doesn't allow two statements to occur on the same line. So it's a quick, easy way to format your code, and everyone should make sure that they do this before they submit code to me for grading. If I see unformatted code, you'll have points taken off of your score. If you have any questions about how to do auto formatting, let me know. If you're using a different editor and you would like to know how to auto format, also let me know and I can help you install a plugin or find out how to enable that feature.